everyone. I want to do a little introduction today to my 3DS and DS RPGs project, which I have mentioned here before. And I know some of you are quite excited for it. I'm excited because some of my favourite RPGs are on the Nintendo DS family of handhelds. Before we start, I need to introduce you to my new assistant. He's being trained up by Mishi and he is very, very promising. He's called Sugamon, and of course he comes all the way from Sugamon in Tokyo, and here you see that's his name. He is a very, very smart little duck. Welcome Sugamon, and thank you for helping us today. The background music today is supplied by this wonderful RPG, a Fire Emblem game, Shadows of Valencia, one of my personal favourites. And we'll be talking about Fire Emblem, of course, during this project. So this is the pile of DS and 3DS RPGs which I've set aside for the project. There's my 3DSs. So let's have a quick look at the 3DSs, because unfortunately, of course, I cannot show you any gameplay. I do not have a modded 3DS. I know they were available some years ago, but not anymore. So in particular 3DS games, I can only show you briefly on the console itself. This is my Pokemon Special Edition 3DS. I bought it at the time that Pokemon XY came out. So that is the game for which I got the special edition. What I did at the time was I traded in my little 3DS. I think it was the first original 3DS. I bought it second hand back in 2013, and it was called Black Cosmic, I think, or Cosmic Black, something like that. It was very most common one, I think. I then decided to upgrade when Pokemon XY came out, and decided to go with the XL size. It looks, of course, very beautiful. I think you'll agree. I love the red in particular. The one thing about this first original 3DS XL is that it is quite heavy. So if you're playing for any length of time, you'll probably notice it a bit. The screen is not one of the best. I mean, that's saying something. With of course, none of the DS and 3DSs have very good screens, but the first XL one to me looked like it was just blown up pixels, really. I was a wee bit disappointed with that. On the other hand, it made it easy. I mean, you know, you can see everything. It's not too small and squashed, and I played quite a bit on it. In fact, I remember my very first game that I bought digitally on it. Attack of the Friday Monsters. An absolutely charming game about life in a small place in Japan in the I can't remember, was it 1970s? Anyway, full of nostalgia, and just, it was my first experience walking in a game, walking around in a Japanese setting and playing as a child and just exploring everything. I had a great time with it, I really loved it. So after the big and heavy 3DS XL, I decided when the new 3DS model came out to get that one, and that is the regular size. And as you can see, I've got the Fire Emblem faceplates on it. The small regular new 3DS had as a special feature being able to change the faceplates, and quite a few came out for it. This is to this date my favourite 3DS. It is quite small, but then it suits my very small hands really well. I find it comfortable playing on it. The screen is, for a 3DS, pretty good, so although it's small, I can see everything. It's very few games where I decide to switch over to the XL size. That's where I probably keep most of my games, on this new 3DS. And finally, when the last model came out, I decided to get a 2DS XL. This is the white and orange model. Now this, I think, was pretty much the last model that Nintendo brought out. It is also a new 2DS. They dropped the 3D, thankfully. I never use it. I know some people love it, but I think the majority of 3DS users hardly ever use it. I don't like it particularly. I have it by default switched off. So just having a 2DS is just fine with me. So this is the 2DS XL. One feature this particular model has is that the cartridge slot is not open anymore. You now have a little flap you can open up that keeps your cartridge free from dust and dirt. Otherwise it's your usual 3DS, 2DS construction. The only thing I have noticed with this 2DS XL is that the build quality is not what it was with the older models. It is very lightweight, so that is nice. So obviously they had to compromise somewhere, and I think it's mainly in the construction, which is really all plastic. And you can see here the screen is extremely thin. It's very, very thin, so I'm a bit worried that it would be quite easy to bend or break it. The screen quality is quite good, I think. Overall, it's a good model to have, I think. That's my 3 and 2 DSs. I also have a little old DS Lite, which I keep. I haven't switched it on, so you know, you're probably familiar with them. I know I've got a bit of light reflection in there, but the lighting in this room is always really difficult to do, and I'm just doing this on my own without Poodle Pa. I haven't told him. So it's probably not ideal. I also needed to test the audio again. I use this little DS Lite mainly for GBA games, because you can, it's quite funny really. That quite large chunky GBA cart, you can pop it here in the front. That's what I've got in there at the moment, Tales of Fantasia. Now there's an old school tough RPG. Those are my 3DSs, so you can see I'm quite well equipped, that I should be able to show you as we go through my collection of RPGs. I'll be able to put on at least 2 games onto a 2 or 3DS and just show you a little bit. I would really love to be able to take some proper footage, in particular of old DS games, and technically that should be possible. I'm working on it. You know how I love tinkering and modding and all that stuff. Yes, I do. But I have never been entirely satisfied with the quality of the picture I get via emulation. But there is some promising new software that has just come out, so I'll be testing that. And who knows, I might even be able to take some footage of DS games in the future. That would be really nice. But at the moment, it's just gonna be show and tell, really. And that should be enough. I mean, I'm not gonna do full reviews of the games. I don't have the time and scope for that at the moment, but it's just going to be a brief overview to give you an idea what the game is like and whether I personally like it or not. It might give you some ideas what to look for, because there's just a fantastic back library, and sometimes you can pick up those, especially those old DS games. You might find them at a garage or boot sale, you know, for a £5. You never know. You can pick up some bargains, some treasures. I love it when that happens. Thank you very much for watching, as always. Sugamon says goodbye. He's very excited to have had his first little outing here. I'll see you all around once we start with the RPG project. Please keep well. I'm food for dogs. Bye bye.